Although my dad was a hard worker, every time he became wealthy someone tried to tear him down. We struggled every day to eat and I had to walk around 5 miles to school. At certain times, I didn't even have a decent pair of shoes. I used thin sandals made of a high-quality rubber that most of you would call flippers. You couldn't destroy those shoes even if you ran a mile in them. For the past 60 years, my family had been living in my mom's dowry house that was passed down to her from my grandparents. They had acquired the house for free, through a friend who had more land and houses than he could use. The house was respectable, but we couldn't use it for business until my mother returned home from Saudi Arabia with a fortune she had made. My mother is a very talented in all things domestic. In regards to washing clothes, hers were the whitest. In regards to tending children, hers were the cleanest. In regards to preparing food, hers was the most deliciously seasoned food made in clay pots that you ever tasted. Deviled shrimp, curried beef, savory chickpeas, sautéed potatoes and dal. So when she and my dad decided who should help to transport our family abroad, she was the one. I recall her sharing the stories with me of how our family became rich. She told me that she had received a phone call from an international employment agency. The woman had said, "Mrs. Pereira, this the A&D employment agency in Colombo. We have a placement for you. Are you still available?" My mom had said, "I think so. May I have your number to call you later today? How soon do I need to leave?" The agent replied, "Next week. I'll call you tomorrow for your final answer." That night my whole family huddled around our table. I was so young, that I just couldn't understand everything. All I knew is that my dad was going to take care of us and my older sister, Rosie, was going to be my new mom for a season. So mom took off the next week, but she hugged me for a long time and said, "Just wait, Asela. One day we are going to be a wealthy again." I cried all week long just missing her and then she called. She said, "The family I work for is very powerful. The wife loves my food and wants me to help her to prepare culinary feasts. Don't worry about anything. I will work here and I will be home before long. The wife likes me very much." 5 years later, she returned to us with enough money for us to start up a new business. The woman she had worked for had given her 7 gold rings. She was able to pawn these in exchange for enough money to transform our 2-story house into a family restaurant. Our whole family was involved. Mom was the main cook, and made everything taste great. Dad was the chief financial officer and main shopper. And we children, we busied ourselves chopping vegetables, preparing drinks, making salads, wiping counters and serving our guests. Several years later, we were doing well, when we had gotten an unexpected visitor. Oh no, the grandson of the old friend who had given my mother's family the house, had returned. "I guess I can afford the lunch special," the young man had said with a low voice, looking at the menu. "You guys are all doing so well, and I am doing so poorly, but my grandfather gave you this house, right? He wanted you to take care of it for me, right?" My dad was shocked when he heard it. "What's this I hear?" he asked the young man. "My grandfather gave you this house until I grew up, right? Now, I am a grown man and I want it back." My dad said, You've been a grown man for several years, and you have your own house now. You've never cared about this house until it became a successful business. I'm sorry but we can't help you." To our surprise, he came back, a month later with a lawyer. Not being one who gave in easily, my father, Lawrence Sebastian, exhausted all of our savings in many years at court. In the end, my parents sold the house to the grandson for a very low price. My father took all of that money and invested in a new business that made a bundle of money. But some sneaky men planted malaria in his new shop and many people got sick. The shop had to close. Where were we supposed to live with no business and no house? We decided to go towards the beach. Negombo was an up-and-coming beach area, located close to the Bandaranaike airport, which attracted a lot of foreigners by the sheer austere beauty of our island. Tourists often came from Holland, Russia, and Germany on their way into or out of Sri Lanka. By that time, my older brother George had become an adult and was able to work for the government and even found a new bride. With so many of us living together and so many males in the same house, we were able to quickly convert it into a 3-bedroom house, complete with a kitchen, bathroom, and living room. Shortly thereafter, we found out that Dad had cancer. We made him as comfortable as we could, kept his condition a secret and nursed him well. Just before he died, my father was able to enjoy my older brother's marriage to a wonderful bride named Ruanmali, a former Catholic nun with a good dowry. Plan. Now fully grown men, we all went to work building the beach house of our dreams, a 3-bedroom house along with a back house, a second kitchen and an adjoining supply shed. Not wanting to upset my brother and his new bride, I took my abode in the shed at the back of the house where the insects, snakes and baby alligators roamed. Contact 12streamsencouragement center@gmail.com for private lessons.